What's up guys, my name is Devin and welcome back to another episode of Footballrs. In today's video, we're going to be unboxing and reviewing the Cutters Gamer 6.0 football gloves. Let's do it. All right guys, so here are the gloves we're going to be taking a look at in today's video. Again, these are the Cutters Gamer 6.0. Cutters was kind enough to send us over 4 different colorways in both smalls and mediums. Some of you guys may know my hands are kind of in between sizes, so Cutters always hooks it up and sends both so I can get the perfect fit for the review. Without further ado, let's start unpackaging these and see what we've got from Cutters. All right guys, now we have all the gamers out of the package. Let's take a look. I'm pretty sure Tony reviewed the past gamers, so I'm not really sure what's different, what they've changed, so I'm just gonna review these as they are. But if you guys have tried the previous 5.0s, let me know how they compare to these new 6.0s. Without further ado, let's take a look. So this is the brand new Cutters Gamer 6.0. Let's take a look at some of the details. C-Tac grip, as always, maximum stickiness with added breathability. RevTac recharge, wipe down with a damp cloth to restore the grip. That's one of my favorite things about Cutters gloves. All weather, no compromises in the cold, rain, or shine, another awesome feature. And lastly, machine washable. This is easily my favorite part about any Cutters glove. They get a little dirty, the grip wears down, toss them in the washing machine, and you're good to go. Now let's quickly read through some of the stuff on the diagram. AirTac C-Grip, extremely sticky, ventilated to keep hands cool. Consistent fit, durable back of hand with strategic flex points for comfort and flexibility. Streamlined padding, added protection for back of hand. Neoprene cuff, wrist comfort without the bulk. All right guys, so a quick rundown on the Gamer 6.0. This is Cutters Big Skill padded receiver gloves. So these are going to compare to the Adidas Freak line and the Nike Superbad line. So it's a skill glove with padding on the back of hand, which is what makes it a padded receiver glove. So I guess the next thing we're going to do is take this off of the box here and we're going to take a look at the glove, see how it feels, see how it fits. And then of course we're gonna test them out and do the full review here in a bit. First we gotta get them off of here and I'll give you guys my first impression. Always a pain getting these things out on any glove we review here on the channel. You'd think I'd get a little bit better at it, but still, actually, you know what, that was pretty quick. I'm gonna give myself that. All right, so here are the gloves here. I just wanna look at the right glove because my right hand is right here. So this is the glove and they do look really good. Of course, they've got the solid color scheme going. That's something Cutters has been doing for as long as I can remember since I was a kid. They just kill these solid colorways. And of course, this is their royal blue. So first let's look at the padding. So there's kind of a lot going on. It's kind of tough to pick out the specific padding, but if you look where the stitches are, that's where you can see kind of the little bits of padding. So there's a little triangle here, kind of a line here, line here. This rubber C logo does have some thickness to it. Of course, there's a pad in the middle. And then down the fingers, you've got 2 little pads here, 2.5 pads here, a couple here, and then a couple here. And then let's check out the thumb. You've got some good size padding here on the thumb. So the padding is there. It's a little bit kind of discreet, kind of blends in. Especially with all these overlays. So there's also these big silicone overlays. They kind of have like this line theme going throughout the glove. You guys can kind of see it kind of dashing through. And then the C is also like a thick silicone. I think that's a pad. Yeah, I'd say it's padded. So this is a cool little detail. It says G 6.0, Gamer 6.0. I don't think they've done that before, but I think that's such a cool little detail on the back. I really like that. Also, you guys can see it says Cutters right here at the bottom. That's really cool. So that in combination with the G 6.0, really cool design, very subtle, but very clean. And then more lines kind of going throughout the fingers. And then at the top of the fingers, you have these finger caps. So this is something Cutters has been doing on all their gloves for the last couple years or so. So this helps keep the glove kind of planted at the tips of your fingers, keeps it from rotating and keeps it kind of locked onto your hand. Gives it a really nice lockdown feel. Then you also get that on the thumb as well, so that's really good. It is looking like it's a narrow thumb, and then these fingers seem to be a little bit wider. Again, these are a big skill glove, so I'd say they're catered more towards big skill players who have a little bit wider fingers than your average skill guy. So that's something to keep in mind as you guys watch the video. That's also one of the reasons I like to get smalls and mediums of gloves, because you never really know how it's gonna fit and what the intended audience or position is for the glove. So now we're gonna talk about the strap. It is a rubber strap. The material is a little bit of a different color. You guys can see the rest of the glove is royal blue, and this kind of has like a navy feel to it. Still looks pretty good, still get that nice solid look. So the strap itself does have some lines as well, so you guys can see kind of the whole design philosophy of how it just kind of slices through the glove in these cool dashing lines. And then you do have the Cutters logo there raised in white. Looks pretty good. The strap itself is pretty minimal. It doesn't seem too bulky. Of course, it's a nice Velcro strap. And then the cuff is neoprene, but it's a little bit thickened in some spots. So you do have a tiny bit of padding here in the neoprene, so that's always nice. There's kind of nothing here at the bottom. There's no reinforcements or anything, so that's definitely something to keep an eye on. Here's a good look at the tag. Cutters Medium Gamer 6.0. I always think it's cool when gloves kind of have like all the info on like a little tag. You don't really see that as much. A lot of companies just do like this on the inside. So it's cool to get a nice tag. Oh, you also get some info on the C-Tag grip and how to wash them. So that's kind of fun. Here's a look at kind of what it looks like beneath that layer so you guys can see where the pads are stitched in. And it looks like it's got some breathable mesh in there as well. We'll see how well it breathes. It's really hard for a padded receiver glove to breathe well because the pads are thick, they trap heat, so it's a little bit tough for these things to vent, but we'll see how it does. This material from the outside doesn't look to be the most breathable. It does have a lot of holes in it, so you'd think so, but it is a little bit thicker of a material, but that's also gonna help with durability. So you can't have everything. I think this is gonna be a good happy medium between ventilated and durable. Speaking of ventilation and grip, of course, we got to talk about these palms, man. So this is Cutter's classic C-Tac palm with the RevTac Recharge. They have some of the most unique palms in football. It's kind of their own thing. Nobody really does anything quite like them, and they are ventilated as well. So while this material is kind of thick, might not breathe that well, you get some holes all over the front of the palm, which is going to help dissipate some of that heat as well. So that definitely helps. But yeah, these palms are known for being super sticky and super durable as well. Like if I'm going to go play in the rain or in the snow, I'm pulling out a pair of Cutters. These things will literally work through anything. I mean, I did it back in high school nearly, geez, almost 10 years ago at this point. This grip works for you pretty much no matter what. So yeah, super sticky, super durable, and like I mentioned earlier, wipe it down with a damp cloth. The RevTac Recharge brings back the grip, and you're back like they're brand new. All right, guys, now let's try them on. This is the medium, so I might have to try on the small as well to see kind of how we fit into these. And they definitely look a little bit thicker in the fingers, but again, these are a big skill glove. They're meant for guys with thicker fingers than me. You can hear the grip, hang on. So super sticky right out of the package, and then the fit on them is pretty good. So I think they went and kind of based their fitting off of the Rev Pro, kind of that silhouette. So it's a little bit different. It's definitely a little bit sleeker. Like the back of the hand looks pretty good, and this is the medium. Let me try on a pair of the smalls and see how that feels. So you guys are gonna get another quick unboxing. We're gonna hit the reds. Can't go wrong with some all red football gloves. Try and see how fast I can do this. We're speed running it. For some reason, this one has a different connection than this one, where these things connect. This is a super insignificant detail, but this has like an extra loop to connect it to the packaging, and this one just utilized this piece down here. So I'm not sure why these have this, whatever. Without further ado, let's try on the smalls and kind of see what we get out of there. Okay, I think that's gonna be a little bit better. A bit tough to strap up. You gotta kind of, there we go. So here is what the small looks like. Oh yeah, the back of the hand definitely fits a lot better. Definitely, oh wow, you can really feel the padding, but it's still pretty flexible. I love this raised C, dude. I feel like I could just punch somebody right in the face, like with a helmet on, of course. Obviously, I'm not condoning violence, but like on the football field, you do what you gotta do. Yeah, you get like some good padding in the C. I think that's a really cool detail. And the padding itself, you can feel it all throughout. Super free moving wrist. The strap does add a little bit of structure, but like you can pretty much move as freely as you want. And of course, here are those C-Tac palms with the ventilation holes. Pretty good. And then let's see. I do wish my fingers were a little bit thicker so I could review these a little bit better for you guys. I just think mine might be too thin for this series. So if you have thin fingers, I don't know if this is gonna be the glove for you. But again, these are a big skill football glove meant for the big guys who have thicker fingers than me. So definitely keep that in mind as you guys watch this video, and of course the review here in a bit. But it's definitely really tight on the back of hand and throughout the palm. I do feel some pretty good pressure kind of in here. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But overall, I'm pretty happy with how these feel. Can't wait to get them outside and see how they do. Let's do it.
Today's video is brought to you by Drymax. Now, if you're familiar with our channel, you've seen Drymax on a ton of guys across the NFL, including CeeDee Lamb, Jalen Ramsey, Justin Herbert, and Jamar Chase. But honestly, we could be here for a really long time if we went through every guy in the NFL that wears Drymax chin savers or their socks. And we actually have videos explaining how the technology works in the Drymax socks and the Drymax chin savers you can check out too. Essentially, Drymax is a company that specializes in moisture transfer and antimicrobial products. They sell the chin saver, which comes in the tube and the easy on and off version with that strip of Velcro. And they sell tons of different sock styles worn by different guys across the league. Here's how it works. The super hydrophobic Drymax fiber layer that rests against your chin is also infused with coupon copper. That copper releases millions of ions, which helps improve your skin's health and appearance. Worn regularly next to your skin, the coupon copper has been proven to improve your skin's elasticity, softness, appearance, tone, and texture. The most important part for me though is the hydrophobic fibers, which pulls all the moisture away from your skin, keeping you dry. This is why the socks are so popular in the league, keeping your feet dry and odor-free. Now, if you want to learn more about Drymax socks and their chin saver covers, visit all the links down below where we have links to both of our videos we put out and their website. Again, thanks to Drymax for sponsoring this video. Back to it.
Now that you guys have watched the full unboxing and first impression, it's time to review the gloves. We're going to cover a whole bunch of things in this part of the video. We're going to talk about the fit, the comfort, the grip, the protection, the style, what position these gloves are best for, and the price. First thing we're going to talk about is the fit. The fit on these is all right, but definitely not perfect. The back of hand material is pretty similar to the previous model, but maybe even a little bit thinner. The material in the pads do a good job molding to the shape of your hand, and it feels pretty secure all the way around. In the tips of the fingers, these do have some sort of synthetic overlay, but nothing on the side of the fingers. Because of this, the glove does move around a little bit in the fingers, so it's not super compressive up at the top. These do have a nice fine mesh that gives the fingers the ability to stretch and conform to the size and shape of your fingers. I do wish the fingers were a little bit tighter for me, but these are a big skill glove intended for guys with thicker fingers than me. For the strap, these do have your standard typical neoprene cuff, which feels pretty nice and secure around your wrist. I do think you're going to want to strap these up because they do feel a tiny bit loose if you don't. With that being said, I did test them unstrapped, but again, if you want a really tight fit, I'd strap them up. Overall, the back of hand material gives these a solid fit, but I'd say they're definitely catered towards guys with thicker fingers. So if you're a big skill guy and you have thin fingers, these might not be the gloves for you. But if you have thick fingers like linebackers, linemen, tight ends, stuff like that, these are going to be a great fit. The next thing we're going to talk about is the comfort. For the most part, these feel pretty good. The inside of the mesh feels good against the back of hand, and the material isn't bunching up anywhere. As I probably mentioned in the unboxing, these gloves do feel pretty light on the hands, which I'm a big fan of. Even though it's a big skill glove, the whole glove just feels thin and has plenty of flexibility throughout, which is really nice. The neoprene cuff is pretty standard. It's a nice padded material, feels really nice and natural around your wrist. You have plenty of movement. Also, for a big skill football glove, these breathe really well. Typically with these padded gloves, they get pretty hot, but these do a decent job extracting some of that heat. The back of hand mesh is surprisingly thin, and then of course these have the ventilated palms as well. They do get a little bit hot, but it's still better than I would have expected. The only downside I noticed comfort-wise is that the mesh in between the fingers can push into the webs of my fingers, but again, everyone has different hands, so this might not be an issue for you. For me, the only discomfort was right in between the index finger and my middle finger. But as always, we recommend you go to your local Dick's Sporting Goods, you try these on and make sure you get the right size for you so you don't have any sort of discomforts and you get the right size for you. But overall, they're pretty comfy. They breathe really well for a padded receiver glove, but the tightness in between the fingers was a little bit uncomfortable for me. Next thing we're going to talk about is the grip. These have the famous Cutters C-Tech grip, which is one of my favorite grips in the game. The key to these is the RevTac Recharge. As long as you keep these palms clean, they will work in just about any weather condition you can think of. I mentioned it in the unboxing, but anything with C-Tech is my go-to in rain, snow, mud. Now lastly, my favorite thing about these, if they are dirty or the grip is worn down, you can just pop these in the washing machine, let them air dry, and the gloves are back to better than ever. No other gloves on the market can really do that, so I think that is a very cool feature worth noting. Overall, Cutter C-Tech grip is one of my favorites out there. It's just a great grip that's going to work in all weather conditions and pretty much handle whatever you throw at it. The next thing we're going to talk about is the protection. The protection on these is pretty good. The pads on these aren't super thick, but they still do a good job absorbing some of that impact. The placement of the pads is also really nice. They have 2 pads on each finger and then about 4 or so on the back of hand. And then I mentioned it in the unboxing, the actual C logo is padded as well, so that's really cool. I really like that feature. Even with all these pads, they don't really seem to affect the dexterity of the glove and are in key spots that you need for protection, so it's kind of the best of both worlds. You have plenty of mobility and then you're also protected. Overall, the protection on these is pretty good for a padded receiver glove. It kind of gives you almost the feel of a skill glove, but then again, you get the padding so you don't have to worry about your hands getting beat up. The next thing we're going to talk about is the style. As far as looks go, I think these look pretty good. As a padded receiver glove, they do look a little bit more on the chunky side, but that's just how it goes when you add pads to a receiver glove. They did go back to the solid colorway on these, which is one of my favorite looks in the game due to its simplicity. These do have some unique silicone overlays with like these crossing lines detail in the back of hand, but my favorite details are the Cutter script logo and then the CG6 as well. Super small detail, but just one of those things that makes a glove feel more special to me. I love small details like that. Now, the only true style downgrade is that they don't come in enough colors. So they come in the red, blue, white, and black that you guys saw in the unboxing, but I wish they would drop some more colorways. But other than that, pretty good looking gloves. Next up, we're going to talk about what positions these gloves are best for. I've mentioned it a ton throughout this video. These are a big skill football glove, so maybe a big bruising running back, tight ends, linebackers, defensive ends, and then maybe a center who wants some good grip on the football could rock these as well. The next thing we're going to talk about is the price. The price on these is $55. 55 bucks is pretty much where the market is for a padded receiver glove, so I think it's a pretty good price. Of course, padded receiver gloves are a bit more expensive than regular receiver gloves because they use more material. The overall quality of these gloves seems to be pretty high as well. A lot of it is stitched stitched up pretty nicely, so you shouldn't have to worry about spending 55 bucks on a pair of gloves. These should last you all season. Overall, these are one of the better big skill options on the market. They offer a good back of hand that breathes really well, protects your hands, and looks good. And of course, they have the Cutter C-Tac, which is one of the most durable grips in football. At 55 bucks, these are one of the best options on the market for big skill guys. You guys should have no problem getting a full season out of these. There you guys have it. There's the full unboxing review on the Cutters Gamer 6.0 receiver gloves. Hopefully you guys did enjoy the video. If you did, make sure to like the video, comment what you guys want to see us do next, and make sure you guys subscribe for more videos just like this one. My name is Devin, and thank you guys so much for tuning into another episode of Footballrs.